So this is the ESG dashboard we created last week, and today we're going to look at how you can create exact same dashboard following a step-by-step guide that I'm going to be showing you in this video. So in case you're wondering what ESG is all about, we've already mentioned that in our previous video, which is the fact that ESG is about environmental, social, and governance framework for ensuring long-term sustainability of a business. And it is an important topic in recent times because every business is looking at how sustainable businesses are in order to do business with them and all of that. All right. So under environmental, we are looking at a set of key performance indicators. Same applies to social and governance. All right. So this dashboard is literally helping us to visualize our ESG key performance indicators based on the data set that we've put together, and it helps us to adequately communicate with our stakeholders. So within this template, there are a lot of visuals that you can actually use for your ESG performance reporting, because it is like an annual report that you have to put together in a very nice document with a lot of visuals that you can use. But this one is just for measuring performance, communicating performance through a dashboard. All right. So we have percentage renewable energy use, percentage water efficiency, percentage waste recycled, percentage staff turnover, lost time injury frequency rates. We have the percentage board diversity, percentage worker diversity, and the various other parameters under energy, emission, water, waste, biodiversity, safety lead indicators, safety lag indicators, and all of that. So this dashboard is very, very dynamic. You can actually use a timeline to drill down, draw up within any time frame. You can filter by location or by company, depending on what parameter you use within a column that I'll be showing you. And then you can actually, click here. So there's actually a template that is available for free download within our Telegram community or on our website. All right. So this video, we are going to learn how to create exactly the same dashboard. All right. So without wasting time, let's head over straight to my worksheet. All right. So I'm going to close this right away, and I'm going to head over to our projects folder, and I'm going to open the ESG log. Okay. So I'll just have to make sure that I have my reference dashboard here on my MacBook, and then there's my Windows laptop. So we're going to replicate exact same dashboard. Okay. So this is our data set, and our data set is already structured according to what is important for ESG. So we have this section for environment, and that looks at energy consumption, water consumption, emission, waste. And within all of this, columns, we have the percentage or the renewable energy use. And for that reason, we're using to estimate a percentage of renewable energy use. When it comes to water, also, we have a section on water that has been wasted. And for that reason, we're using it to estimate water efficiency. And we have also emissions over here. In terms of waste, also, we are looking at waste that have been recycled, and you're going to use that to estimate percentage of waste recycled, and then the workforce and all of that. So this has already been structured based on the ESG framework, and this is available for free download. All you need to just enter your data, you refresh, or it's going to update automatically. But this one, we're going to look at how to create similar. So without wasting time, let's quickly proceed. All right. So what we're going to do first is to make sure that we control all and ensure that our table, this actually is an Excel table. So we're going to make sure that the table has been renamed. Okay. So let me just bring my ribbon. The ribbon should be always showing, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to name this table. I'm going to call it source data. All right. So every time we are trying to name so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get data, and on the data tab, you go to from table range. All right. So it's going to load this into Power Query. Now, the reason we are using Power Query is that we're going to remove all the spaces down the table, and we're going to check the data types to make sure that they are correct data types. All right. So we don't need all of this nows. Whenever we have the now, they're going to show in our dashboard as blank. This is something that is very common in most of our templates anyway, but there's a solution. We're going to go to Power Query and remove the now, so that we only have the data set. So what it means is every time you're entering data, every time there is a now, it's going to remove it. However, when you enter the data, it's going to show as a record within this data set. All right. So this is Power Query editor. We are using it to clean the data by removing the now. We check the data types at the top. We want to make sure they are all in the correct data format. So this is a very clean data, and all the data types are numbers. When you check from here, you can see all of them are numbers. There are no percentage errors or empty spaces or anything. They're all 100% valid. Okay. Now there are extra nulls that we have within our data sets on the right side. If you go back into our data sets, in the real Excel sheet, you're gonna notice that there's some extra columns that we've created. They are all now intentionally, all right, which we're going to use in our table, which we will be creating, because you have to create an ESG monthly report, which is just like a statistics, and we're going to use some of these fields to separate them. All right. So what we're going to do is that we're going to load this, but we're going to create a new worksheet in an Excel table. We're not going to do any data modeling with regards to this. All right. So this is the table. We're going to call it source data. Okay, there's a clean data. We call this sheet source data. That's pretty much it. I'll probably be using this to create a pivot table. So for that reason, I'm not going to hide it yet. So the first thing we're going to do, this is another sheet that we have to create. So I'm going to call this dashboard, and then I'm going to create another sheet for calculations. Okay, so let's call this sheet calculations. So all the calculations are going to be on one sheet, calculations. All right, so this is the source data. This is what we're going to use to create our pivot tables. So we go to insert and we click on pivot table from the table range. So it's going to be from this table range, not from data model. Okay, and then we are putting it on an existing worksheet. We already have the worksheet here, and that is this sheet right here. I'm going to put it there, and I will start to create our pivot tables. Now, creating our pivot tables, we are trying to answer the metrics, right? So what is the metrics or the project requirement? Let's open this folder here. So it looks like I'm running too fast, but that is pretty much what this session is. I want to make sure that we are moving very fast because we have another meeting at about 4 p.m. in just 2 hours time. Okay, so what is the percentage renewable energy? You're going to answer all of these questions. What is the percentage? What efficiency? What is the percentage of a lot of things, right? So let us start to populate all our reports based on the various categories of the KPI. So energy, water, emission. We're going to create all our various pivot tables so we can actually start to do the calculations. All right, so we're gonna quickly load diesel consumption, gas consumption, electricity consumption, gas consumption, renewable energy used. Okay, now when it comes to pivot tables, once you have the values or you have numbers within the column, it automatically populates over here, and that's going to show a sum of the values, okay, or some of the KPIs. So it could be sum of diesel and all of that. And then we want the summation to be on the row, so it's going to align like this. If this is here, it will align across the sheet like this. However, if you bring the values over here, which is the summation, it's going to align over here. Okay, so this is for our water, energy. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove all of this sum of by just introducing a space in front of it. So I'll do that quickly. Okay, and then I'm going to move on straight to the other one. Okay, so let's copy this. Let's copy the entire table and paste it down here, and then we continue with the other KPI. So you need to right click on this table, go to show field list, uncheck all of this, and let's continue with water. So water consumption, quantity of water wasted, and that is for water. We're going to remove the sum of also. And then I'm going to paste it here. I'll continue because I already know all of these set of, you can always reference it. All right, you can check to make sure that we can see exactly what we are trying to load. That's emission. It's a total of 4 metrics. Okay, so let's quickly go to our and then uncheck all of this, and then we continue with the emission. So this for emission, we remove the sum of and replace with a space. We go here to remove the NOx, we replace with a space. We do the same thing for this, and then that is pretty much it. We're going to move on next to the other metrics. Okay, so water is a total of about 5, right? 5 metrics. So we can just control C and paste it over here, click on it for the field list to show, and then you uncheck okay, that's it. We uncheck these ones and we go head over to the other ones. Okay, so particulate matter. I think I missed particulate matter in this one. So this one we uncheck particulate matter, and then we continue with the other ones. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We're gonna remove this. We're gonna remove the sum of, replace it with a space. Now every time you are replacing a sum of, you need to make sure that there's a space right there. Okay, and then we would just make sure that we have a clean space. So this is for that is for waste. Okay, and I think we are done. And biodiversity, the last one is biodiversity. Okay, so with regards to biodiversity also, we're just gonna Control C and paste it over here, and then show field list and uncheck all of these ones. You're gonna check energy conservation initiative and biodiversity. We're gonna remove the sum of, and then we will do the same thing for environment. Okay. All right. So we are literally done with list of tables for our all the KPIs related to environment. So we're gonna just separate it like this. Okay, and then we're gonna move on. So let's quickly do that, and then we'll come back and try to calculate the other ones. We want to move very fast. Okay. So we come over here, we paste this one here, and then we open the field list, and then we continue. We uncheck all of this, and then continue from the one related to social. So social has to do with biodiversity initiative. Male worker, female worker. And then we're gonna continue again, Control C, Control V, and that's gonna be number of workers and how many have resigned. Okay, we're gonna move on because all of them we can actually see them, so they are here. Okay, so we have male workers, female workers, number of workers, how many have resigned, and all of that. Okay, and let's continue, Control C, Control V. And we open the field list. Okay, we uncheck, we look at age distribution. Age distribution, we check all of this. Okay, so 20 to 29, 30 to 29, and above 50, they're all here. So we do the same thing. We're gonna remove those, sum of in front. The sum of is just to make sure that our, our table looks clean, because they are all gonna show on our chart, and we don't do some of showing in the visuals. Okay, so we remove this one as well. We do the same thing for this. So this more like cleaning up the table for the dashboard, and we can actually do that as we are going. So we're doing it as we go. Okay, let me just reduce the space so that you have a lot more room for other KPIs. Okay, so I'm gonna Control C, Control V, then I'll continue with near miss. So that's the safety lagging indicator. So that's near miss and safety workplace injuries. Okay, I'll Control C, Control V, and then we're gonna check the other ones. That's man hours worked. Okay, so we have to do man hours worked and lost days worked. Okay, that's a separate metric on its own. Control C, Control V. And then we would just do for the leading indicators. So hazard identification, risk assessment, safety audit, safety inspection, training hours, safety engagement. Okay, so we just continue from, leave a good number of spaces in front, like columns, and we continue from here. Okay, we paste it here, and then we just uncheck and continue with the other. So we are now on social community initiatives, right, and social impact. So that's sustainability awareness training, employee satisfaction survey, customer satisfaction survey, corporate social responsibility, and ESG supplier audits. Okay, and then we would remove all the sum of, all of these stuff are things that are a bit boring to do, but the beauty of it is that at the end of the day, we're able to do a very nice ESG dashboard. Okay, so we're gonna Control C, Control V, we paste it here, and then we will show field list. Okay, uncheck these ones, and then we continue with the one that has to do with labor rights. So labor rights, fair wage and equity audit, employee diversity and inclusion survey, labor rights evaluation survey. So that is what we have here. Okay, so let's have a look at. Okay, we can continue. No need to have a look at it because we already know what we are trying to select. Okay, so let's show field list, uncheck this, uncheck that, uncheck this. Now we're looking at board diversity. So that's the male board members, female board members. And that's pretty much it. Okay, and then we're gonna just because all of these are gonna be like pie charts, which we'll be using. We'll look at the the dashboard to ensure that it's consistent. All right, we're gonna uncheck male and female. We're gonna go on to the ESD. So this is more like ESD high level, compliance and ethics and all of that. So policy review, ESG policy review, publish ESG reports, ESG review meetings, ESG compliance audit, ESG compliance incident. So this is another set of KPIs which we're going to represent with a bar chart, and then I'll create the last one, and that has to do with whistleblower, right? So that's like data privacy, whistleblower, anti-corruption, ethics training, and executive compensation linked to ESG. So this one has to do with social, right? Okay, so I think that I almost messed it up. This social, this has to do with social. So let me just bring it all the way here and keep it here for social. And then I'm gonna separate it with another, color, like a yellow fill. So this section has to do with the governance. Okay, let me bring it up. Okay, so I think that we are on track. Let's have a look at it again. So we've already done the health and safety KPI, so lagging indicators, lead indicators, and we've done the sustainability reporting and labor rights. All of them are, on this side, right? Hold on, they're over here. Labor rights. Hold on, fair wage. So this one is part of the social. So let's bring it down here. Okay, so this is part of social. Hold on. And we put it here. Okay, this is part of social. So ESG governance is all about board diversity, okay, it's all about board diversity, ESG policy, and all the other parameters. So let's have a look at it again. So the governance is about board diversity, ESG compliance and reporting, and then ethics. Okay, ESG ethics and compliance. So that's pretty much it. So what we're going to do is that we're going to create some visuals. Now, before that, let's try to go back and have a look at our dashboard. Okay, so I hope the dashboard is open. It's actually closed. Let's have a look at it to use that as a reference. Okay, so let me open it once again and let's have a look at it. Okay, so basically we have the energy already selected. The emission is a pie chart, so that's all of these emission parameters. The waste water, the waste biodiversity is a pie chart. All right, and then you have the lag indicators, the leading indicators, the gender, the labor rights, locals, employed, all of that, community and social impact, age distribution, board diversity, corporate ethics, exactly what it is, ESG compliance, and then we have the other KPI. So these KPIs basically you can, look at a trend of each of them and all of that. So we're gonna, work on this dashboard very, very smoothly, and I already have it, on my MacBook. So I'll just be referencing from my MacBook as well. Okay, so now we have this. What we're gonna do is that we're gonna create some visuals. Now, if you pay attention to the dashboard, you notice that the maximum values have been highlighted yellow. Across every maximum value has already been highlighted yellow as a visual pattern or as a visual insight that we want people to see. Okay, so let's go back, and how do we bring in all those maximum highlights? Okay, we're going to use a trim range. So trim range is used to bring in a table. It's a dynamic array function that sort of pulls the table dynamically. So if the table reduces in size, automatically the range reduces in size as well. So whenever we use that to create a chart, every time the length of the table or the series reduces, then it's going to reduce accordingly. So the reason we're not going to use pivot table is because we want to introduce a maximum highlight, and then we can only do that by creating a helper column and introducing that within the chart. You cannot introduce a helper column for another variable or another series and mix it or combine it with pivot table. It's not going to work. Okay, for example, assuming that okay, let's use this one. Assuming there's a highlight, there's a figure here which is like 30. We cannot use this to plot a graph, it's not going to work. Pivot table will not allow you to create a graph with this series inclusive. It's not going to happen. So what we're going to do is that we're going to create a helper column for that, and we're going to bring in the dynamic array in of this table over here. So the highlight is going to be the fact that we want to know the max value, okay, and this max value is whatever is here, and that is 36. And we're going to bring a highlight here and see if we're going to use the if function, right, or the if statement to say that if this is equal to the max, it should return this. If not, it should give us not applicable. So not applicable is any open parenthesis, close parenthesis. That's pretty much it. And then you need to close the argument with another parenthesis. All right. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to lock this as an absolute reference. So we hit the F4 and we press the function key and hit F4, and that's to lock it. So once we drag this all the way down, the highlight is going to show right in here, right? So what are we going to do with this? So we're going to select where the data is from the diesel all the way here. We're going to insert a bar chart. Okay, so we go to bar chart, and that is a highlight right there. Okay, so let us resize it. We're going to clean that once we move on. Okay, but before we do that, let us quickly rename name the visual, because this is for energy. We want to make sure that we can see at glance. Okay, so this is for energy. We'll do the cleaning on the dashboard. So let's move on to the rest. So this one is water, right? The same procedure, right? We're going to use equal sign. We use a trim range, and we're going to select the whole of this table. Now take note that the trim range function is available in Office 365. Okay, so if you are using any old version of Microsoft like Office 2019 and all of that, you wouldn't find a trim range. So what you can do is that you need to, sort of maybe use an equal sign, and then you select everything again like this and hit enter. But then the challenge is that it's not going to be dynamic. Okay, so it's not going to be dynamic. If this one increases, the range is fixed. This range A24 and B28 is fixed. So if for any reason, or for example, assuming I added 29, okay, then you see what happens. The space is over here, and this space will never reduce. But over with this one, even if I extended it all the way down, see what happens. It's still the same range that is going to populate, even though I've extended it all the way down that I want this. You can see that I'm still selecting only the ones that has data. Okay, so that's the relevance of trim range. So let's do the max quickly. I want to make sure that we are moving as fast as we can. Okay, and then we would, quickly use a if this one is equal to this, it should return this. If not, any. Okay, and then we want to make sure that we lock this one. Okay, that's B14. We click on it, we hit the function key, press F4, and then we drag it all the way down. Okay, and then we can plot our graph. Okay, so insert sort of batch. This one with water consumption, that's also a bar chart. Okay, so we do that quickly, and this is for water. All right, so now I think we will need more space, right? Eventually, we're going to create more space. We'll do that later on. This one, we don't need it. We're going to use a trim range. Okay, so equal sign trim. Trim range, and we select all of this. And then we hit enter. We go to if, or we do the max, right? So the max equal to max, and all of this, and then we use the equal sign. If this is equal to the max, it should return this. If not, it should give us not applicable, and we log this one. F4, we hit enter, drag it all the way here, we insert our chart, and this one, what kind of visual was it? Was it that's actually emission, so we don't even need the highlight. Okay, so let's remove it. This one is a pie chart. It's a pie chart, so we're supposed to just keep it consistent with whatever is there. So there's a pie chart that we used. Okay, and this one is emission. Okay, and then these buttons that are showing, we go to pivot chart, analyze, and we click field buttons to be off. Okay, so let me just copy these ones straight onto the dashboard because I don't want to be having a clumsy workspace. So let me just delete these ones. Okay, and then we move on to hazardous waste. So this one is it's actually, you know, a bar chart highlighting the maximum value. All right, so we're going to use equal sign trim range. I'll select this one, and then I would do a max. So max, and then I'll select this. I hit enter, and I use the if statement. If this is equal to the max, return the value. If not, give me not applicable, and lock, you know, this reference, and we will drag it down. Okay, so that's it right there, and then we're gonna insert a bar chart. So this one is for waste. Okay, so I'll quickly, you know, copy it and paste it here. So once I'm done with aligning it, I think we should start aligning it. So energy, water, and emission. Okay, so this is probably for, and then the last one, this one is biodiversity. Okay, biodiversity has 2 data points, so that's straight up a pie chart. Okay, so we do that quickly, remove the field buttons, and we call it biodiversity. Biodiversity. Okay, and then we Control C, bring it straight to the dashboard. Okay, so we'll just try to resize it just to make sure that we can see our screen clearly with all the visuals. Eventually we would, you know, bring in all the wireframes, and then we can create our nice dashboard. So this one is for environmental KPIs. Okay, now the interesting thing about dashboard is that the dashboard has a lot of visuals, have a total of about 15 visuals, and that is really like, you know, very rare. Okay, so it takes a lot of effort to put a lot of visuals on a dashboard. Now let's go to, you know, the rest of the calculations. So we're moving on to this side. Okay, there's worker diversity, and with this one I think we estimated it in terms of percentages. So let's have a look. Go back to the report and let's see this one. Okay, the data labels didn't show. Okay, but that's fine, we don't want to see data labels. This one also, we don't want to see data labels. This one, we don't want to see data labels. That's fine. You don't have to give too much information in every visual. Okay, so that's okay. All right, so let's move on to the rest. Now we are working on this one. So this one straight up is a pie chart. So we go to insert, and then we would select pie chart. Okay, so the charts are all here. All right, pie chart. And this one is gender. And gender, we are looking at gender diversity. Now, it is even a good practice to estimate. Okay, let me see. Can we do that in terms of percentage, or is the same thing? Because the thing is that pie chart by default, you know, estimate the chart based on a total, okay, a percentage of the total, and for that reason it is already showing the visual in terms of percentages. If I should add the label, okay, we can format data label, we go to, okay, percentage. Okay, we can actually do percentage. And there you have it. You see percentage is already, so pie chart does it by percentage already, so no need to worry ourselves to convert this to percentage. And then we'll just remove the fill button. So this one is for gender. Let's delete it and bring it here straight away. Okay, and then the rest would be worker. Okay, so this one we use it to estimate staff turnover, right? So we're gonna do that later on. This one is distribution, age distribution, and the age distribution also was based on okay, so that's actually down below. So let's just focus on the leading indicators and the lagging indicators. So the leading indicators, we are using trim range, and then we're gonna select all of this, and then we'll do the max of this entire range, and we hit enter. Okay, let me just make it bigger a little so we can see. And then over here I'm gonna say if this one or this one, if this is equal to the max value, it should return this. If not, give me not applicable. Okay, and then we log this F4 and we drag it down. Okay, and then we'll just plot up graph. But before we do that, we need to remove this sum of, right? So let's do that quickly. Other than that, they're going to show in our visual. So sum of, I've removed it. Sum of removed. Okay, yes, and then I'm just gonna insert our bar chart highlighting the maximum value, and we have two maximum values anyway because they're all the same, right? So this one is for safety leading indicators. Let's copy this and put it on the dashboard. Okay, so this gender I think is probably down below. This one will be here. Okay, and then we will continue. So this one, okay, that has to do with let's go and check lagging. So basically the lagging indicators, so the lagging indicators, that's workplace injuries and near miss. Okay, so we will do that also. Let's remove the sum of, so what I'm trying to do is I'm just creating all the visuals that are relevant, okay, for our dashboard, and this is something we can do very, very fast. So I don't even have to explain. I believe that you're all following. Okay, so this one is okay, so there's safety leading indicator, safety lagging. Okay, Control X, we paste it here. And then what else? Gender diversity. Okay, and the labor rights. Okay, so let's finish the labor rights. Okay, the labor rights, how many are they? Okay, I think the labor rights, employees, our local employees, local employees are also part, right? Locals employed, so let's look for locals employed and add to it. Locals employed is part. Okay, there we have it. Let's remove all the sum of. So what I'm doing is in no chronological order. I just want to make sure that anyone that I can complete fast, I do that. All right. Okay, and then I'll do the same thing. We're gonna use a trim range, and then we'll select all of this, and then we'll hit enter, and then we look for the max value. All right, so equal max the range of the values, and then we would use a if function to select that if this is equal to this, give me this. If not, give me not applicable. Okay, and we lock this one also. So as you can see, it's a bit boring, and all of that. But at the end of the day, we are trying to achieve a goal. Okay, so I go to insert, and I have this one is labor rights. Control C, and we bring it here. Okay, and then I think we need to do for let me see which one again. Gender, right? Is it gender diversity? Okay, so gender diversity, we have it here. Oh, I see. Even with gender diversity, it's not a pie chart. It's not a pie chart. Okay, so with this one, we're going to bring in the we're going to use a trim function as well, or we estimate the percentage of the total for each of them. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to bring in this one. We're just going to copy this, Control C, Control, and paste it here. Okay, and then we are going to bring in the percentages. So first and foremost, we're going to like we're going to estimate this in terms of percentages, and we're going to convert this into a column chart, and we're going to do something interesting. So what we're going to do is that we are going to estimate the total and bring in the maximum. Okay, so how do I go about it? All right. Okay, so we're gonna say VLOOKUP. Look up the value of this. Okay, from the table, and give me it's in the second column, so we use a 2. Okay, which is the second column, and I want an exact match. So that's this, and we do the same thing for this, but of course we want to make sure that the range is the same, so we can lock or whatever, but the number of ranges are, the spaces. Okay, let's just lock. Okay, so let's lock it F4 to lock the range of the table array. Okay, the table array, we just hit F4 and then we drag it down. Okay, so that is the same array. Okay, and then we want the total, so we use a sum function to give us the total. So let's drag it here, all right, it's the same thing, it's referencing this. So what we're going to do is that we want to just estimate in percentage. Okay, so we are going to just use the equal sign, divide this by this to get a percentage of it, use the equal sign, divide this by this to get a percentage of it, and then the maximum is 100% or 1. Okay, 1. And then we convert all of this to a percentage. All right, percentage. Now we have the percentage, and then the maximum. Okay, and we're gonna insert a column chart. Okay, from the range. So go to insert and go here and insert a column chart. But the column chart is showing it like this. The maximum is supposed to be 100. So what we do is that we need to select the data, and then we will switch the columns. Okay, I hit OK. So what it means is that the 100% is now at the back, which are these ones, and then the 50% and 53 and 47 are all in front or by the side. So that's pretty much what we are trying to do here. Okay, so what we are doing here is that we want to introduce a type of chart that is not the conventional chart. So these charts that we introduce with the this male and female, that's what we're trying to do here. Okay, so what am I supposed to do? I'll quickly format the axis. The axis has to be a maximum of 1. That's like 100%. Okay, so that the maximum is 100%. And then what we are going to do is that we are going to convert all of this. We're gonna make sure that the picture fill is active. The picture fill must be active for both series. Okay, and then we would insert those icons. So those icons, we're gonna select male and female. Okay, so we start off with a female, and that is this one, and then we go for the male. Okay, and that is this one. Okay, so we're gonna hit enter, and there we have it. So this one that we are doing here, I think it's better we'll probably do it on the other sheet. Maybe let's try. Okay, so we have it here. All right, so what we're going to do is that we need to change the color. So we create 2 copies of it. One is going to be, you know, the fill, and then the other one is going to be just filling it with white. Okay, so the male is green, so we go to fill. The green is the male, the yellow is the female. Okay, and then the outline, well, let's make sure the outline is the same. Green, the outline is equally, you know, yellow. And let's just delete this one, and then Control C, Control V again, and this time around both of them, the fill is gonna be white. Okay, so as you can see, there we have it, and the white is going to be at the back. So let's, you know, double click on this, Control C, double click and paste it. That's for the male. So let's make sure we select the correct one. We put it behind, and then this one is Control C. We put it on this one. We select the data point and paste it in there, and then we double click on this one. We paste it. We select the data point so that we can paste it in there. This one is going to be at the back for the 100%. So we double click and paste it in there. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So what we're going to do is that we go to, you know, the format, and we make sure that we stack and scale with 1. This one also we stack and scale with 1. Okay, now we are going to put one in front of the other. So this one must be in front, and for that reason there are going to be a secondary axis. Okay, now if you look clearly, you can see that the secondary axis is not starting from 0 to 100%. So we double click this, and then we go to the axis, and the maximum must be 1. Minimum should be 0. So there we have it. As you can see, so we can delete this axis. Okay, the left axis, the right axis, remove them, and that's pretty much it. So they look very slim. So what we can do is that we can, you know, reduce the gap. Okay, reduce the gap for the you know, for the one behind and the one in front as well. Okay, so that's so the gap width should be 0 for all of them. Okay, and that is it, guys. We've been able to create our gender diversity. So the gender diversity is based on percentage. So this is gender diversity. It's all about percentage of male and percentage of female. Okay, and then we are going to use these percentages as text, you know, within the dashboard. So we can call this male. You can call this male. This cell, that's we are naming the cell. We can call this cell also female. Okay, the reason why we are doing that is that we are gonna sort of use a text box to pick those values. So let's just Control C and go here and paste it right in here. So this is our gender diversity. Now, how dynamic is it? Okay, now take note that within our dashboard we have a slicer and a timeline. So there's a timeline, there's a slicer. Let's go to our, you know, reports, our calculations, and try to test. So we're going to insert a slicer, and the slicer we're going to insert will be the company and the, you know, the company for now. Okay, so let's try to, you know, let's Control C and send it to the dashboard. Okay, so let's put it somewhere on the dashboard, and let's report connections. We need to connect, you know, the slicer to all the pivot tables that we've created. So let's do that right away. We hit OK. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
This is Isaac.
Yes, Isaac.
Yes. So I wanted to plead with you or suggest that if you can please the subsequent training, if you can. Yeah, I know that you were saying that the recording sometimes
No,
takes a while.
don't worry, I'll record. That's important. I
Sometimes,
thought about it. I know.
because I'm a beginner. Other than that, and the time so I close from where the stress and all that, so that the video will also really help me. Yesterday, if I look at the way you were introducing the course, some of the information, if like you can share a PDF copy
No,
with
no, no,
me.
no, no, no. I understand. I know. All these things you are talking about, I've thought about it. It's about helping you with good user experience and everything. So I would have to prepare all those resources for you.
It will
Those
help me, but honestly.
Yeah. I understand. We are not done at all. So all the feedback, we are going to use that to improve the process. Do you get it? Yeah. So we will definitely you'll get a lot of PDF files, some reading materials, all these stuff. You get them. Okay. Yeah. So
I'll be practicing them whilst I'm watching the video. Then I'll be practicing too alongside. So.
yeah. For sure.
All right.
All right. We'll catch up. Yeah. Sure. All right.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So as you can see, this is, very dynamic, very dynamic. And as you can see, it's already populating. Okay. So we're going to move on to, what do you call it? The next one, the next visual. So you can delete this one for now. I think we're going to use the same set of icons in another, when it comes to board diversity, right? So let's see if we are almost there. The community and social impact. So that's the last one, and that's it right here. We're going to use equal trim range. Okay, we're going to select everything like this. And then we're going to do the max as well. Equal max. And we're going to select all of this. And then we'll do the if this is equal to this, give me this, if not any. All right, and then we're gonna lock this one, F4, and then we would sort of drag it down. Okay, and then we would insert our bar charts, and this one is community and social impact. Okay, and then we will just Control C and send it to the dashboard. Okay, so that's gonna be here. All right, so what we're gonna do eventually is just to clean up the the chart and make sure everything is clear. We remove all the unnecessary space and increase the width or the space or the gaps between the chart, and everything looks much bigger. Okay, so this one we can put it somewhere later on. How many more to go? We have all of this. We have 4 more to go. Okay, community and social impact. Community and social impact. Let's check again. Okay, that's it. So we move on to this side, and that is we're gonna do the same thing for this. So this one is, again, we're gonna estimate it in percentages. So male and female. Okay, male and female. Okay, and then we're gonna use we're gonna copy this. We paste it here. We're gonna do a VLOOKUP of it to pull those values. We could use an equal sign, but I just want to use this bulletproof functions that you don't have to miss anything. Okay, so it's on the column, the second column. So that's what it is. We select this one, we lock the range with F4. We hit enter and then we drag it down. Okay, and then we do the sum of it, and then we will estimate a percentage. Okay, so let's see. So it's gonna be here equal if this divided by this. Okay, and this one also this divided by this. Okay, and then we would bring in the maximum, which is 1. That's 100%, and then we just convert everything to percentage. So we hit a percentage. And then we will just insert our column chart. Okay, we go to insert and then we select a column chart. Okay, and then we sort of switch the columns and rows so it looks like this. And then the same approach, what we're going to do is that we're going to basically check to make sure that the axes are all the maximum axis is 1, which is 100%. Okay, and then we're gonna go to the format and activate the picture fill. We do the same thing for this one. Activate the picture fill, and then we will bring in these icons. So mail, Control C, double click on this very point, and then we will do the same thing for the back. Double click on it and paste. We do the same thing for the female. Double click and paste. Control C, double click on this and paste, and then we would overlap. All right, so this one would be a secondary axis, and then we would ensure that the series, the axis is maximum is 1. Okay, so axis option, the maximum should be 1. So that makes it like this. And then we also make sure that it is stacked and scaled with 1 for this, and this one also it is stacked and scaled with 1. Okay, and when we are done, we just have to make sure that the gap width is 0, and then the one in front also the gap width is 0, and there we have it. So 100% here for the axis, 100% here for the primary and secondary axis. So that's pretty much it. And this one is board diversity. Okay, and then we're gonna Control C or cut and then send it here. Okay, so the board diversity, I think it will be somewhere at the bottom. Okay, somewhere here. So we are getting there. Okay, and let's check our the age distribution is here. So age distribution is actually is this one. So that's like a pie chart, right? So age distribution is a pie chart. We remove those buttons and then we click on age distribution. Control C, paste it here. Okay. All right. And then what else? Then corporate ethics and all this other stuff. Okay, so we have 2 more to go. So let's go to our calculation, and then that's for these ones. Okay, so the same thing, trim range. So I think that we need to move fast even with trim range. So I'll just show something I'll be doing. I'll just select everything, do the max quickly. Max of the range, and then if this is equal to the max, it should return this. If not, give us not applicable, and then we log this F4 and I hit enter. Okay, and I'm gonna drag this down. Okay, now in order to move fast, let me just Control C, paste it here, copy this trim this field here, paste it here, and this one also just Control C and paste it here. Okay, and then delete this one. So it's literally the same thing, except that we have to drag this one all the way here, and then we would drag it down. Okay, so that's much faster. Okay, and then we need to remove the sum. Okay, we do the same thing for the other one. Remove the sum. Okay, and then you do the same thing for this also. All right, so there we have it, and then we just insert our chart. Okay, starting from where the data points are. Okay, we go to insert, and they come here, and this one is for what is it called? Ethics and compliance, ESG ethics and compliance. So this naming of the ESG ethics and compliance, so however you want to call it, you can do that. Okay, so the naming is not, it's not compulsory. You can always name it however you want to call your chart titles. Okay, so this one is here, and then we go here, and then we basically insert our chart for this one also. Insert, and this one is, I think, ethic compliance and incidents, however you want to call it. Okay, ethics and incidents, ethic compliance and incidents. Okay, oops, Control C, and then we bring it here. Okay, and then the other one has to do with basically another chart that we introduce, which we'll probably have to do that right now. So we'll have to insert another pivot table, so that will bring it all the way to the right. Okay, let's copy this pivot table, Control C, and go all the way to the right. So let's try to separate this one with this. Okay, and then we paste it here. Okay, and this one is literally all the KPIs, So we just, uncheck this, and then we start to select diesel consumption, electricity, gas, renewable energy, water, all these CO2, SOS, all this stuff, hazardous waste. So we literally check all the KPIs. So this really takes a lot of effort, trust me. Okay, so I'll select all of this. Okay. Yes. All right. So they are all lined up here, as you can see. And then I need to remove this. Okay, I'm not removing that for now. Okay, so let's just continue. Now what I'm trying to do is that I'm going to put the date on the, I'm going to put date across over here. So that's the date over here. So basically I put the date on the column section, and I remove the days and then the dates. Okay, I'll remove the field for days and dates. Okay, so that we have just the month. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that these months that are here, I'll remove the total also off, total for both rows and column, right? So these months that I have here, I'll have to sort of populate them somewhere. So I'm just going to use equal sign. Okay, I'll use the equal sign and select all of this, and then I'll drag it all the way to the end here for January to December. And then the ESG, the KPIs. Okay, so I'll just convert this to a table. So go to report layout and show it as table. Okay, show it tabular. Okay, I think it's showing a table already. So this one I'm going to call it ESG KPIs. Okay, so this same name that is here, Control C, I'll bring it here. Okay, and then paste it here. Now I want to be able to use a function that's gonna select the KPI, and then also these row numbers, these are row numbers, various row numbers, right? So this is the main lookup value, and then these are the row numbers for various parameter. Okay, so we're gonna name the rows. We're gonna start from 2 because this is the first row, which is the lookup value, the row where the lookup value is, and the second row, and it goes all the way to the end. So this is up to a total of about 58 rows. Okay, now we're gonna use our HLOOKUP function. So HLOOKUP is how we look up values vertically. Okay, so the lookup value is this one, and then the range, our range is all of this. You can just select all of this. Now this range is static, it will never extend. It is static because January to December is a 12, it's a total of 12, so there's no way it's gonna go all the way there. And even if it shrinks, it's gonna be like when we select a few months. So this is literally the row, and the table array, I'm gonna lock it F4, and this one also F4. Okay, and the row number, oops, oh my goodness, what did I just do? Sorry, the range has shifted. Let me bring it back. Okay, all right, so it's the same range as we've highlighted. Okay, now I'm gonna select the number. This number has to do with the row number, and they are all here as 1 to 58. Okay, so this number, I'm going to fix the number somewhere. I'm going to fix the number, maybe let's select this one for now. Okay, and I want an exact match, so it's going to be 0. I hit enter, so it's giving me 7. Okay, that is the number over here, which is 7. So that means that if I lock this reference, okay, which is this one, this 2 over here, I'll just use F4 to lock it. Okay, and then I drag it all the way to the right. I'm gonna get the values for all of them, which are all 7. Now if the range changes, so that for now let's put real numbers there. So if it is 2, it's giving me this. If it is 3, okay, it's giving me the subsequent ones across. It's giving me the subsequent one, which are all 1s. Okay, so how do we dynamically change these numbers? To dynamically change the numbers, we need to put a value there. We use a function or use a developer, a spin button. So let's go to developer. We go to insert a spin button. Okay, spin button. We bring it here. Okay, and then we are going to put a dynamic. We're going to do a numbering system that is dynamic. So I'll just format control. Then I say the current value should start from 2, which is the start of our rows numbers, right? And then the maximum should be 58, which is the maximum of this number, 58. And I want to link it somewhere. So I'll probably link it to, let's link it above here. And I hit OK. All right. So now we are starting from 2. If I keep spinning, now the numbers are going to dynamically change. So what I can do is that instead of referencing this or writing a number, this 3 would now be this cell reference. And I'm going to lock it. Okay, F4 to lock it. And I hit enter. Okay, so every time we click, it keeps changing, right? So I'm going to drag it all the way to the left. So every time I click on it, it's going to keep changing. Okay, so that's for selecting. That's now what we're going to do is that we are going to be selecting these numbers, these names based on this as well. So what do? I want to be able to pull this name, this ESG, based on these same numbers. So the same VLOOKUP that we used, HLOOKUP, I'm going to drag it here. So the table array is there. Now I'm going to drag this one here. Oh, sorry. The lookup value is gonna be this one. Okay, so let's start all over again so that it's easier for everyone to understand. So we're gonna use an lookup again. Lookup. The lookup value is this one. The table array is all of this. Okay. We can even focus on here alone, all of this. And with this one, we don't have to lock it because we're not dragging it. And we are saying that it should give me the row number. So the row number is this one. And I want an exact match. Okay, there we have it. So whenever we select, it's going to give us the values for all of them. So this pin button is what we're going to use on the dashboard. And we can use this one to plot a line chart. Okay, so we just plot a line chart, insert a line chart, and there we have our line chart. I'll remove this, and this is our trend of KPIs. Okay, and I'll just resize it nicely and send it to the dashboard. Control C, and that's gonna be here. Okay, and then I would bring this checkbox, this spin button. I'll just bring it into our dashboard. But the thing is that whenever we load it, undo, Control C and paste it. Okay, we can delete this one later on. So whenever I bring it here, the connection gets removed. So I need to format control again. I come in here and I'll select this one because that's where we connected it to, and then it's starting from current value. So that's the current value, but it's supposed to be starting from, let's start from 2 to the maximum 58. Okay, so I hit okay. All right, so on the dashboard, you know, once we select, yes, exactly, it changes. Okay, but for some reason the labels are not changing. So let's do it again. Ensure the labels are changing. Insert chart, and let's keep. All right, now the labels, the chart title is changing. So Control C, we come here and replace this one. Okay, we paste right in here, and there we have it. Okay, so we have all our visuals in there with the spin button and all of that. So the next thing we're going to do is that we're now going to take our time to design our dashboard layout. We are going to, you know, sort of change the slicer orientation to make it landscape like this. We bring it up and everything. So now we are talking about our KPI cards. So we need to do our metrics. The metrics that we're supposed to be calculating is based on, you know, the questions that we are answering. So let's quickly go into our questions. So what is the percentage renewable energy? What is the percentage of water efficiency? What is waste, recycle, staff turnover? All right, so that's pretty much what we are supposed to be estimating. Now 75 is the percentage of, so we can do that quickly. We can say that percentage of renewable energy use is equal to this one divided by the total, right? So how do we know the total? What it means is that first and foremost, we estimate the total, and that's the total here. We can then use equal sign and select this one divided by the, you know, the total, and we have a percentage, and that is, 22%. What is the percentage of water, water that has been efficiency, water efficiency? So water efficiency is basically knowing the sum of water consumption, water recycled, and water that has been wasted. Okay, and then we look at percentage water that has been recycled. Okay, so percentage of water recycled, with water wasted. Okay, that is gonna be like this divided by the total of this water. Okay, and then we hit enter, and then that's a percentage like this, and then we'll find the efficiency. So water efficiency, percentage water efficiency then is like 1 minus the 5, right? And we have 95. So the efficiency is 95. So this is our KPI for our KPI card also. Then we move on to staff turnover. So let's go to staff turnover. Staff turnover is how many percent of workers that have resigned. Okay, so you have total workers. So percentage staff turnover is equal to this divided by total workers, and we estimate that in percentage, and that's 4%. Okay, so this one is, we can name it staff turnover. Okay, and then this one we can call it renewable energy. Energy use, renewable energy use. And then this one we call it water efficiency. Okay, so you can actually name any cell with any name that you want. Efficiency, water efficiency. Okay, all right, and that is like three KPI cards that we've calculated for now. So we move on to the rest. Water efficiency, water waste recycled. Okay, let's see. Waste recycle. All right, the same thing. So what is the total waste? Okay, and then percentage of waste recycled will be percentage waste recycled will be equal to the waste that has been recycled as this waste divided by the total waste. Okay, and then we sort of select, that's 1%. Okay, and that's percentage waste recycled. Okay, and then we move on to the other KPI, which is injury frequency rate and worker diversity. So injury frequency rate is the next one. Okay, so we quickly go back to our calculation. Injury frequency rate is also based on the fact that we need to estimate our man hours. So there's man hours somewhere. Okay, so that's for safety, right? That's for this side. Okay, so let's try to bring in our man hours. Let's put it at the top here, and then open a field list and check this and check that. Okay, let's look for man hours. Man hours worked. Man hours. All right, so we bring in the man hours, we uncheck the female. So at least we have our man hours over here, and we have our injuries also here. Okay, so how do we estimate lost time injury frequency rate? That's our workplace injuries divided by man hours multiplied by 200,000. So that's pretty much what it is over here. So this is for our lost time injury frequency rate. Okay, and then the other one is let's have a look. That's diversity, percentage diversity. So there's an interesting thing we need to bear in mind. So when it comes to percentage worker diversity, okay, that is this section. Okay, we're gonna be working on this section, and then board diversity also. Okay, board diversity, there's a particular formula that we used. So at any point in time, you want to estimate the diversity. Diversity should not be more than 100%. Okay, diversity cannot be more than 100%. Now, how do we estimate diversity? We are literally looking at one as a denominator of the other. the highest should be the denominator, the lowest should be the numerator, the highest should be the denominator. So what it means is that we want to say that if this is greater than this, put this. If this is greater than this, put that. Okay, so the numerator and denominator. Denominator or is denominator. Numerator, denominator. Fair enough. Exactly. So if this one is greater than this, it should return this. If not, return this. All right. And if this is less than this, okay, it should return this. If not, it should return this. So as you can see, we have switched them dynamically. Okay, we have switched them dynamically. So always the numerator will be the greatest one. Okay, and then we can estimate worker diversity. Oh, sorry, it's gender. What KPI is it? Worker diversity, exactly. So this one is going to be basically this divided by the denominator, which is a bigger one, right? And then that's like a 90%. Okay, so this whole argument we can just copy and paste it here. Okay, that's 3. We need more space. So let me just Control C and then create another space down. Okay, insert another row. Oh, let me just do it like this. Insert another row. And then we would copy and paste this. So this is like what it is. Okay, it's the same thing as referencing. Okay, let's drag it. I'm trying to move very fast, but I think we should just take our time. Okay, so it's the same thing. So let's delete those entries there. Okay, and let's say that if this one is greater than this, it should return this. If not, return this. Okay, and then if the denominator is greater than the numerator, it should return the numerator. If not, return the denominator. Okay, so no, I didn't do it well. If the denominator is less than the numerator, it should return the numerator. If not, it should return the denominator. Exactly. So based on that, then we would simply divide. Okay, that gives us a percentage. So this is board diversity. Okay, so this is board right, and this one is worker diversity. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's our last set of metrics. Okay, we have this one and we have this one. All right, so we are literally done with our calculations, and now we need to bring in our KPI cards, which will be doing that. Okay, so with regards to our wireframe, we already have the wireframe developed. We have it in here, but how we build this wireframe is very simple. We just, we did it on PowerPoint. We just insert a blank new sheet. We bring in a background, so you can see there's a background in there. So the background is literally the PowerPoint background, but sometimes if you want a gradient fill of the background, you cannot do that straight away. So we can bring in another shape in there, and that shape color is light green. So we just copy, use a paintbrush, paste it over here, and then we have another rounded triangle, right? So the triangle behind is a rounded corner, so we go to triangle with the rounded corners and we bring it in there. And then once you draw it in like this, you can literally sort of reduce the rounded corners. So there we have it right there, and that color is actually a lighter color. It's not white, it's a lighter color. So I'm gonna copy that and paste it in here, and then basically the same set of rounded rectangles, we use that to create all those cards, sorry, all those layouts. So we want a layout, a total of about 3 on each row or each column. So we need to size them nicely like this, and we want to make sure there's enough space for all of them. So I think this size is not bad. We bring it like this, and this also goes up like this. Based on the number of charts that we are expecting, we have a total of about 15 charts. So it is actually a lot of space that we need to optimize. So as we are trying to create, we can see that we are already exhausting the space. So let's resize a little bit, and then we sort of do it like this. Control C, Control V. We have it this way. Still, we need some more space. What it means is that we need to resize a little. Okay, like this, and then we can bring this one closer, this one closer, this one also closer, and then we Control C, Control V, and paste this one here, and then we can align them properly. So you can see that basically the color is white. So I'll just use a paintbrush, or I could just change the color is white. So I'll just go to Format, Paint, and then the fill is gonna be a white fill, okay, without any sort of outline, and I'm gonna paste it on all of them like this. Okay, so that is pretty much it. And then I would sort of create another rounded rectangle that's over here for the various KPI cards. So the size should be big enough, like that. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we did. We literally did it like this. Control C, and then we have to size them nicely. So the colors are green. Okay, so we just paste on all of them like this, and we try to resize properly. And then finally we have this. So this one is actually the rectangle with only one side rounded corner, right? So that's like this, and we then change it this way, and then we'll bring it here and then resize it nicely here. Okay, and then we will literally bring in the same color as this. Okay, paste it over. So that's how we try to create our our dashboards layout. So we already have this one. So instead of wasting too much time, I'll just control all, and then come over here to our dashboard. I'm gonna paste it over here, and I want to group it before I work with it, and I want to send it to the back. Okay, so sending it to the back will mean that as I drag it up, it's not gonna show, it's not going to be in front. Okay, then I'll try to resize it because I want it to be big enough. So let me just resize it like this. Okay, and then I'll take my time to clean the dashboard. So basically, data clean all the charts. What we need to do is that we need to first resize all of them to fit in the cards. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing for this. Resize it nicely to fit within each of the the layouts or the shape or the whatever color we've introduced in there. So everything must properly align nicely. Now we have a total of about 15 visuals. So what it means is that our dashboard is going to look very big, and it may not fit on a PowerPoint slide. That's how come we had to resize anyway. So this is the type of dashboard that you would have to view on Excel and not PowerPoint. If you try to import to PowerPoint, it wouldn't fit in nicely. It's going to look very small or something, or you can only use a snipping tool to snip, and then you can, yeah. So that's what it is right now as you're trying to resize nicely. It looks smaller, but once we start to remove all those elements, it's going to look much bigger. Okay, so the same thing here, and then we do the same thing here, and then this one can move here. We can resize it to be slimmer, and we can make it much bigger, put it on the side. Okay, so that's pretty much what we are trying to do. We would remove the series, remove the all of that. You make this a secondary axis, but before that, let us try to increase the size of the chart. Then we make it a secondary axis. Okay, we remove this one also, and then we remove this one of the axis at the top. Now the font, I think we use Calibri. So it's Calibri. The size is 8 because we want to make sure it's very, very small. Okay, so it's 8, and this one also is I think 9. Okay, and then the color for this is yellow. The color for this one is green. Okay, and then there is no outline, and there's no fill. Okay, and then we will remove the grid line. So this process also takes a lot of time. Okay, this process actually takes a lot of time, the grid line and everything. Okay, so that is the first one. The second one is literally the same process. I have work to do right now. I need to move very fast. So this is 10, this one is 9, and I need to reduce the size a little bit, and then I make this one secondary axis. I remove this one, and we remove the outline, and then the fill, and then remove the chart element. So this same thing, remove this, remove that, remove this, remove that, and the size should be 9. Okay, this one also should be 8. So that's very, very small, and we do the same thing for this. So that's a lot of work that I'm doing here. So this tutorial is really, really a long tutorial, trust me, but I'm trying to keep it very short. We go to home, we change the font to this, and then this one also is 9, and we sort of reduce the size, the width of the dash or the chart, and then we make this one secondary. Okay, so I think that let's undo. The width is 0. It shouldn't be 0. It has to be, let's make it 80. Okay, and then this one will be secondary axis. Okay, that's okay. And then we would that's it. We go on with this one also. Fill, remove all the fill outline. We make this one 8. This one also should be 9. And then we try to resize it a little bit. Okay. Oh, so if we try to resize too much, the legends are going to vanish. So let's keep like this. And then same with this one. Okay, so fill. Remove the X axis. And then remove this one also. And then resize to 8. This one is 9. And then we would format data series and reduce the width to 80. We select the first, the yellow one, and make it secondary axis, and then we'll remove the the grid lines. Okay, we do the same thing for this. So that's really taking a long time, right? It's taking too much time. Actually, this YouTube tutorial I'm doing is a lot of work, trust me. So I hope that you guys will appreciate what I'm doing so that you can like and reshare and all of that. Okay, and I believe that you're finding value in this. If you're finding value in what I'm doing, please do well to comment and give me some feedback. Okay. So this one is like, I'm not having access to the grid line. Okay, that's fine. I know what to do with the grid line. So I just go to chart element, grid line should be off. Okay. Yes, there we have it. And then we would make it smaller, and gender is diverse. The title is 9. And then we do the same thing for this. So because we didn't use a conventional chart in Excel, we have to do everything manual, because ideally we could just copy the formatting of one chart and paste it over the other, and it will just update automatically. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So you literally have to do everything manually. So it means that this is what it takes to create a dashboard, and it's not easy to really, say that it's free and all of that, because you can see the effort that goes into creating a dashboard. So if you can create this, that's fantastic. That means that you are a doer, you're like me and all of that. But this is very difficult, then you need to appreciate buying templates, because the fact is that if you cannot do it, just purchase it. Do you get it? Yeah. So that's what it is. Okay. So format data series, change it to 80. And then this one's going to be a secondary axis. We'll delete the secondary axis. Okay. And then we do this. We do it for this one as well. In fact, when it comes to even removing all of these, I could have just selected all of them, but unfortunately it doesn't allow me. So I still have to do it manually, one at a time. Okay, that's fine. Chart element, we go to the grid line, remove the grid line. Okay. And this one is going to be, the font is going to be 8, and the title is going to be 9. And then we do for this one as well, format, fill, remove all of these stuff, remove the axis, remove the grid lines, change this color, change this to 8, and this to 9. And then format data series, the gap width should be 80%. And then with one selected, with the outline selected, make it a secondary axis. Remove this one. Same with this one. Primary axis should go. This one is going to be 8. This one is going to be 9. And then we will just, go to the series and make it 80% gap width. And then with all of them selected, you just sort of make one the denominator. Now it looks some of them look much bigger. So what it means is that you need to sort of make it, let's say 70, right? 70 for some of them. This one is going to be like 70. It's still big. So let's make it 100. Yes. Or let's make it 110. Okay. And then this one also is going to be 110. So it looks smaller. Okay. And then we would, remove the fill and the outline. We do the same thing for this also. Okay. Remove the fill and outline. Remove the grid lines. Make this one 8. Okay. And then this one, make it 9. And the y-axis, we make it maybe 8 also. Now this one, we can try to make it bigger so that it will fit in properly. Okay. So that is what we are doing. We are almost there. As you can see, this one is for our, and I think that our chart this dashboard is looking too wide. Okay. But unfortunately, we've already aligned them. So I don't have time to, okay, let me just select all of them. let's select everything and try to resize. Okay, so it still works. It still works. We resize a little bit. Let's keep going. Let's keep going to resize. Oh man, so no, let's bring it back. So let's assume that this is the size of our dashboard. Now the dashboard is like this, so we just align them properly. So this one, we're gonna align it like this. We're gonna align this one like this. We're gonna align this one also like this, and then we're gonna select all of them, and then we'll see align middle. Okay, we do the same thing for this. Align it middle, and we will probably drag it to the left a little bit. Okay, we do the same thing for this also. Align it to the middle, and we can drag it a little bit to center. Okay, so we're still aligning it is not a big deal because the cards behind is what is most important. Okay, the cards behind is what is most important. So once the cards behind is showing, it's telling us they are aligned. You cannot even see with the naked eye that they're not aligned unless you really want to, try to pay attention. Okay, so for now at a glance, you can see that everything is okay. All right, so I'm going to try to hide this show ribbon always. I'll make it full screen so I can see well. I'll control all. Okay, control all, and I'll bring it to the center a little bit. Okay, and then I will try to create more room at the top. So I want to resize this, so I make it much bigger. And then this one is for this one. So we're gonna take this one to the top. Okay, let's keep some more room at the top. Oops. No, we don't want everything. We want just the one at the back. We drag it to the top. So what I'm doing here is basically us trying to play around with the dashboard a little bit. Okay, so the back will go up further. Okay, and then this one will be at the top together with this. Okay, let me undo for now. This one will be at the top here. The size will be bigger a little. Let's size it a little bit, and let's bring this one on top of it. So what we are going to do is that we're going to work on this very one. Okay, so this color, double click on the color at the back. Let's pick the color with the the more paint and pick the hex code. Okay, and then we come here, we pick the slicer. So the slicer, I think actually it's here already. Okay, but how did we create it? Okay, so the process of creating this is just the fact that we had to create a duplicate. So how do we go about it? Okay, let's try to do it again. Let's pick a normal one. Let's say the green. Usually selecting a slicer, you go to slicer settings and then you choose a slicer, and let's create a duplicate of it. So create a duplicate of it, and we can call it ESG BBBB. That's the name we give it. The whole background is what we work on. We just go to fill, and then we sort of put in the hex code of the background that we want, and then we don't want any border, and that is it. Okay, so the name, so the slicer is already active. When you go to slicer settings, that's what we're gonna see at the top. Okay, so once you click on it, okay, we're gonna see it at the top here. So that's exactly what is there. Okay, and I think that the font is not black, it's this color. So let's go and work on the font. So the font color, so we just go to more fill, we pick the hex code, Control C, okay, and then we close, and then we click on the slicer, go to slicer settings, go to the one that we are working on, modify. Okay, and then the header font color, we change it to green. Okay, it's gonna be green, and we paste. Okay, so we need to select, it's green, this one, and hit OK. There we have it. Okay, but the green is not even the kind of green that we want it to be bold. So just modify again, and this green, we want it to be bold, so we just choose the bold one, and we can even choose a font color, make it much bigger, or this one like this. Okay, and then we hit okay. So there we have it. Okay, and then we introduce another thing, which is the timeline. So the timeline, we go to any of the pivot tables, we go to insert, we choose a timeline. So the timeline, we want the date timeline. Control C, and we bring it to the dashboard. We paste it here, and over with this one also, we are trying to position it in the middle here. Okay, now the timeline must start from January to December, and so we would have to, ensure that all of this is showing, and then we would sort of size it nicely. So with a slicer, with a timeline active, we go to uncheck the header. We don't need a scroll bar, we don't need a selection, we don't need the time levels. We want it to look as slim as possible, and what it means is that we don't even have enough space for it. Okay, so we still have to extend it a little bit. Select this and select that. Okay, select this, we drag it up a little bit, we drag this one also up a little bit, and there we have it. And then we position this one somewhere in the middle. Okay, somewhere in the middle here. So the white also goes along with it, and it has to be somewhere here. So that's what we did. So we need to sort of work on this also. So we go to the timeline. Now this background must be the background of what is in here. We just pick the color of what is in there in that shape. We select it, Control C. Okay, and then we come to the timeline. We go to timeline settings. We choose the one that we want. I think we want to choose something like this. Oh, this is already selected. So we're actually working from the same workbook that we used to create the dashboard, because we only removed the sheet out and then we sort of started afresh again. But those formatting that we did are also in there. So let's do it again. What we did is that we created a duplicate of this. We need to call it ESG, any name that we want. Okay, and then we go to the timeline background. The background fill, we change it to the background that we want so that it's not so obvious. Okay, we paste it in there and we hit OK, and that is this one. And we don't want any border, so we remove all the borders. Okay, and that's pretty much it. We hit OK, and then we go in there and select the new the timeline that we inserted, and that's it, guys. So you can see that timeline is right in there. So we just have to resize it nicely so that it's not so obvious that it is actually, there's a shape over there also. This is what it is with a timeline, but I think we need to resize this one. Okay, reduce the size so that it will look okay, and that is pretty much it. Now we are coming to work on our visuals. We have the visuals already here. Okay, so before that, let me just change the colors of all of this. Now before you can change the colors, let's go to calculations and let's make all of them sort in smallest to the highest. All right, smallest to largest. So we do that quickly. Sort smallest to largest. Okay, so that's for all the values, smallest to the largest, smallest to the largest, smallest to the largest. Okay, that's for this one. We move on to the age distribution, also smallest to the largest. When it comes to this one, in fact, for all the bar chart, everything that looks like a bar chart, we need to do smallest to the largest. Everything that looks like a bar chart, so smallest to the largest. Same with these ones also. Okay, smallest to the largest. So when we go on the dashboard, we need to notice all of them are properly aligned now. So what we need to do is that we quickly go to format data series, the fill. We change the colors. This one is yellow. This one is green. Okay. So we move very fast with it. This one, I think we did it maybe green or yellow or something. I don't remember. Let's assume it was yellow. We'll check. Okay, we'll check. And the other one is green. Okay. The other one is green. Okay, and this one also is supposed to be yellow and the rest are green. Yellow. Okay. And the rest are green. Okay, and then we do the same thing for this one also. green and yellow. Okay, and this one, I think it was a gradient fill. So we just come to fill the outline, basically the line. We use a gradient. In the gradient, we just want a gradient of the yellow and green. So this one is gonna be green and this one is gonna be yellow. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So we have our dashboard looking cool. This one we've not done it yet, so let's do that quickly. Yellow and green. Okay, and this one also we need to just make the colors consistent. So the blue has to be, let's say, green, and the other one has to be yellow. Okay, yes, so I think we are almost there. Okay, so let's save our work. Now let's check the timeline should be sort of connected to all the pivot tables. So let's make sure we do that. So let's increase the size and check all of them. And we hit OK. So that means that it controls everything, right? Controls everything. That's good. So we save this and now we have our shape. Now this shape, these icons, we need to ungroup them. Okay, so I'm just gonna drag them here. The reason why I had to group them, these icons, is because I don't want to have the time to go look for them. The challenge is always like trying to look for these icons. Okay, so let's try to separate them nicely, and then we would select each one of them and place them where they're supposed to be. Okay, but we are not done with our KPI cards. We need to bring in all our KPIs. Okay, so let's save our work for now. Let's go to insert. Now I think I need to bring the full the show ribbon, and I need to resize. Let's try to resize. Okay, so you know what we are doing. So let's go to insert and let's go to text box. Okay, so bring in a text box and we need to look at our KPI. So what KPIs are we looking at? First and foremost, renewable energy. So we come here and we use the equal sign, look for renewable energy. Renewable energy use. So that's the essence of naming all of our cells, because we can just select them straight away without having to go refer. Okay, so this one, it's to be on the far right. So let's make all of them consistent. So I think there's even extra cards that we introduced. Let's do that right away. There's another card, Control C, Control V. Let's put it up here somewhere. Okay, and then another one to be somewhere here. Now what it means is that we need more space. Okay, so we'll just bring it up a little bit. Yes, we are there. Okay, let's save our work. So this one will be for renewable energy. So let's bring it in front. This one will be for renewable energy. Control C, Control V. This one will be for water efficiency. So water efficiency. We do that quickly. So that's 37. And then Control C, Control V, we would bring this one here, and that's waste. Waste recycled. We hit there. So we'll double check our calculations to make sure that they are correct. Okay. So the other one will be staff turnover. Staff turnover. Control C, Control V, we bring it here. This LT, lost time injury frequency rate. Okay. And then Control C, Control V also does for board diversity, right? And then Control C, Control V, we bring it here. And this one will be for worker diversity. Worker diversity. Okay, so I think that we are on track. All right, now what we are supposed to do is that we just have to format it. So we're going to use Segway UI. Segway UI is the font. Segway UI. Oops. Segway. Okay, and then we increase it to maybe 24, and we make it bold. Remove the outline and the fill. Okay, and then the font is gonna be like white. Okay, yes, and then let's make it much bigger. Let's say 28, or let's say 32, and we simply copy the formatting. We paste on all of them, so we are making headway, as you can see. And we will gonna then introduce our text boxes for the names. So these ones we gonna do them manually, so we have some typing to do. So let's do that right away. So the first one is gonna be percentage renewable energy used. Okay, Control C, Control V. Let's try to arrange them, right away without wasting too much time. Okay, Control C, Control V. Control C, Control V. Control C, Control V. Control C, Control V. Okay. Now this one is gonna be percentage water efficiency. Percentage water efficiency. Okay, and this one is gonna be percentage waste recycled. And this one's gonna be percentage staff turnover. And this one is injury rate per 200,000 man hours. And then this one's gonna be percentage board diversity. Percentage worker diversity. Okay, and we need to make it, remove the fill and all of those stuff. Okay, remove the fill, change the font color to white, and this one is gonna be like Segway UI also, and it's gonna be bold. Okay, so this formatting that we have here, we're gonna copy it, paste over each one of them like this, like that, and there we have it. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is that we're going to bring in all of our icons. So we already have the icons here. We bring this one here, we bring this one here, and then we bring the injury also here, so we can resize them later on. We bring this one also here, and then this one comes here, then this one also goes here, so it's going behind this. Let's bring it in front. Okay, and then water also is gonna come, so this one also is showing behind, so we bring it in front, and then we position it nicely, and we have this nice design that we put here. Okay, and then we have a splash. So this is like something we use to let the dashboard pop a little bit. We have our home here. We have the help icon here. We have, the other pages, literally. Okay, and then we have this and have that. So these are like page navigation. This is what we use to navigate across the pages. So as you can see, we are almost there. So what we are going to do next is to change the color to white. So we go to format graphic, we go to fill, to white fill. Okay, and then we simply use a pen to sort of change all of them to white. So we take our time and do that nicely. Oh man, we do that nicely. I think that I should have rather selected all of them. So let's select all of them. Select this one. sometimes it's weird. It doesn't want to allow you. It doesn't allow you. So let's take our time and select. Maybe I should have just done that before bringing them in. So let's take our time and select this. It doesn't want to allow me. Okay, this one. Oops. That's another weird thing about Excel. Sometimes when you're trying to select these things, it doesn't want to allow you. Okay, so this one is gonna be this color, okay, and this one is gonna be a white fill. This one also a white fill. This one also a white fill. Okay, so guys, we are literally done with our dashboard, and as you can see, so the only thing we need to do is to just clean up. Okay, but for now we've literally done everything. So I'll just control all. I go to group. Okay, I'll go to group the dashboard elements. So now the dashboard has been grouped. I'll go to size and properties, and I'll go to property and see that move but don't resize with cell. Okay, there you have it, guys. We've been able to create our new dashboard. So let's remove this side, make it a full screen. Let's increase. Okay, hold on. Let's bring back our screen. Let's make it bigger again. And there we have it, guys. We've been able to replicate this dashboard, as we can see. So we have our company slicer that we can use to drill down. We have this timeline to, basically visualize a report. Now, wherever we are getting those kind of errors, what it simply means is that every time there is an error, it should give us, we can use an if error, if there is ever an error. Okay, so show ribbon and say if error return 0. So that's like intentionally introducing a 0 whenever there's error, because error is likely to pop up, and that error is not the type of error that is due to mistake. It's just the fact that one parameter is not present. So if error puts 0. So wherever we have those calculations, we're just going to use if error puts 0. If error puts 0 for all of them, so that wherever we are likely to have an error because one variable is not present, then it should simply return 0 because those are expected to happen. Okay, yes, so I think that we are literally done. We are only cleaning up, and then again, the next thing we're gonna do is that we need to verify the calculations for the waste recycled. Okay, so let's look at it critically. Waste recycled, we need to look at the total waste and water recycled, right? So wastewater recycled, water wasted, water recycled, percentage of waste, water efficiency. So water efficiency, I think we're looking at the quantity of water that was consumed and quantity of water that was wasted. We look at the total quantity of water both that was consumed, water that was recycled, and water that was wasted, total of that. And then look at the percentage of that total, how much was. So I think there's a real computation. Now these calculations is just normal calculations. So if any figure is wrong, it can always be corrected. Do you get it? So the most important thing is that we've been able to create our dashboard, and there we have it, guys. So if you made it to this stage, then trust me, you're very, very good. Congratulations. And what it means is that you can literally create your own template. Now, if you struggle to create this, then you need to appreciate the fact that it takes effort and time and energy. And for that reason, if it is being priced for you to buy, just reward us, reward the hustle, and just buy it. Okay, so this dashboard is free, as I did mention, but you would probably need a password, and that's the only thing you need to buy. So on our website, all the free template, there are about 21 of them, including this ESG. All you need to just purchase the password, and then you have access to it. But if you don't want to purchase the password, then trust me, you can create your own template like this, and that is very, very possible. And for that reason, we have a class. We have a data academy where we support safety professionals to learn how to create these dashboards. Just connect with me, and I'm going to help you to develop your data skills. Okay, so thank you all for your attention. I'm going to see you guys in another video. Bye for now. Cheers.